Well, good morning, Morro Bay. Today is Thursday, April 20th, not April 19th, as you probably just saw flash across the screen. And I would like to call to order the monthly meeting of the Tourism Business Improvement District. Forgive us for being a bit tardy today. It is 9:06 a.m. We had a couple of AV and Wi-Fi problems. All that's been ironed out, so we should be looking at a great presentation today. Now we'll establish a quorum of our board members present. From my right to left, we have Sean Green, Taylor Newton, Maggie Jurin, myself, Aaron Graves, Charlie Yates, and our newest board member would really like to welcome Stephen Allen. He represents 3 properties here in town, and I'm sure is going to be a great asset to our board. Actually, in fact, Stephen, did you want to introduce yourself and say a couple things to the audience? Help them get to know you a bit.
Sure.
You have to turn your microphone on, green light. There you go.
Technical difficulties. Thank
It's
you.
okay.
I'll get it all over. Thank you. It's an honor to be here this morning and to be on this board. I attended college, many years ago in Cal Poly, and I co-own and we operate 3 hotels here in Morro Bay. And I don't live in Morro Bay. I live in Santa Cruz County, where I've sat on the tourism board there for many years. And we operate a couple hotels there as well. But looking forward to getting to know all of you and working with you, and hopefully contribute where I can. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephen, and sincerely welcome aboard. Typically, at this portion, we would be looking at the meeting minutes and looking for an approval on them. However, they are not included in this agenda packet. We will revisit those meeting minutes at the following meeting. Our Director of Tourism, Jennifer Little, she is out for this meeting. It's spring break. She, her son, and family are down at El Capitan State Beach, spending some quality family time. So we want to commend her for taking the time to do so. So we'll revisit those next month. Now, I would like to open the podium up to public comment for any items that are on the agenda or off, for that matter. Do we have any public comment? Seeing no public comment, we will close that session. And now I'd like to go to item number 3, presentation by Morro Bay Golf Course, Joel Chalk. Joel. Welcome, Joel.
Actually, it's Joel Clay, but the reason why they have Joel Chalk is because I have 3 golf courses that I operate, which is Chalk Mountain Golf Course and Atascadero, Dairy Creek Golf Course, and Morro Bay Golf Course. So I kind of like the Joel Chalk name, though. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
So you named yourself after a golf course rather than vice versa?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Hey, you guys named me after a golf course. But anyhow, well, thanks for having me. And basically, I was asked to come speak about opportunities at Morro Bay Golf Course, and I just wanted to kind of give a little history of the golf course, because I think that's a big thing, because a lot of people don't know the history of the golf course, the Morro Bay. But Morro Bay Golf Course was founded in 1923, so it's been around, 90 years. We're pushing almost a 100-year anniversary since that golf course has been in Morro Bay. So it's really, really lucky to have the golf course here, and we have an oceanside golf course with 18 holes with ocean view. And there's not too many golf courses around that have 18 holes of ocean view. So we really have a great opportunity. It's been known as the poor man's Pebble Beach, and which is really because it's affordable golf. So it's really a great opportunity. It's a great asset to have it, not only in our city, but in our county. So we're lucky to have it. The park itself is operated by the state. So it's a state park, and the state, I believe, took it over in the late 30s, early 40s, and then it's leased to the county. So the county leases the land. So, and this is kind of a really important kind of history of how the operation works there, so everyone understands how complex it can be, but it's really not. And then the county operates the grounds. They take care of the maintenance and do the grounds. And then my company, which is Golden State Golf Company, is a concessionaire that operates the clubhouse, and basically we throw the party. We get to do the fun stuff. We don't have to do all the work as far as maintenance and everything. So that's why I'm here today. I'm promoting, and we do all the events and tournaments and tee times and everything. So pretty good staff. I think my company altogether is about 60 employees, a little bigger than most people think. And we do about 60,000 rounds of golf at Morro Bay Golf Course a year. So just a little history there. As far as on the tourism side, the opportunities, really is the golf package opportunity. We work, I have Barnett and Cox is my marketing company that does my websites. Most of you guys are familiar with them. They've been around for a long time. So we have a really nice website that has the links to go to golf packages. The Inn at Morro Bay and Embarcadero Inn are the two that are on there right now. We're trying to get more of the hoteliers in the city to partner up with us to do the golf packages. There's about 25 hoteliers in the county that partnered with us. So we really right now only have 2 on our website, which I'm focusing on Morro Bay for the website links and partnerships, and those are just those 2. So there's definitely an opportunity to increase that. Okay, basically our hotel rate is $44 for green fee and cart on the weekdays and $49 on the weekend. So for an ocean view golf course, in California, those are really, really good rates. And the way this works is with our hotel partners, they will book the room and the golf package, and they'll have a voucher, and they'll take that voucher, bring it back to the golf course, and then we will bill the hotel for that round of golf. So the property can sell the package at any rate they want. And one thing we do allow is we allow 6 months in advance for booking tee times for the hoteliers. In regularly it's 30 days on the internet and a week out. So basically you get a longer time to book those events. So that's kind of really important. So if anybody wants to get on our website and get involved with that, they just need to get a hold of us at the golf course, and we'd like to get more properties involved in that. So on our one of the things on our website is we get about 7,000 to 8,000 views a month, of people that are looking to come here to play golf. And the nice thing about golfers is, one, they have time. And so we're looking for people, when they're golfing, they have the time, and usually the income, they have the spendable income. And our slow times are really the same as yours. So basically Sunday through Thursday and in the winter. So, we really need to focus on doing that. I have about 90,000 customers in my database, about 33,000 emails. And there's a great opportunity there to partner up and do packages and try to help promote that. And I'm more than willing to do that. And I've always offered to work that. We can separate them by regions. We can go into counties, zip codes, area codes, however we want to break it down, and we can actually target certain areas. So that's definitely a good opportunity. I've talked to Jennifer about that. One of the things I wanted to let you guys know is on our golfmorrobay.com website, the only way you can leave our website is to go to the Visit Morro Bay website or to the hotel partners. So, and even on our phone app, right on the top, it says Visit Morro Bay. You click and you come right to your guys' website. So we're doing that already. We've been doing it for a long time. Perfect. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch on is our banquet room. And I know a lot of the properties in Morro Bay don't have banquet rooms or the ability to hold meetings, and that's one thing that we can really. It's a great opportunity to partner with the small meetings, corporate year-end meetings, training sessions, and we have availability. Especially really the Sunday through Thursday to bring groups in like that, and that's something we should really focus on and have this TBID staff let everyone know that we have that. So that could definitely help.
Joel, what's your capacity?
It's about 110. I really like the 40 number though. The parking lot works out good and everything's great. It's like when you get real big, it can have an impact there. And you guys feel free to ask me any questions.
But still, 110 capacity is outstanding. 40, 50 you said is comfortable.
Yeah.
And with easy parking. And what is your ability to cater that? Do you outsource that? Do you do that in-house?
We do our own catering.
100%?
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Luncheons and stuff. Okay. So, and I think that the inn, and Charlie, you guys are the only place in town that really has a room, right?
We are, and one of the nice things, Joel, is that, working with you and George, we've been able to do groups that have been accommodated at our place and used your clubhouse too.
Right.
Kind of nice.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting because with our partnership, we even share tables. And they bring them up, extension cords, whatever we need. So it's been pretty easy to work with on George. And then one of the opportunities we're probably missing, and if you do go with an event planner, we have a lot of space. And it doesn't necessarily mean we have to affect the golf course, because there's a practice area in the middle of the golf course. It's acres that we could do events there. We could have a beer festival or something where we don't have to close the golf course, which won't affect our business, which could really help out. Working with the county and the state, we could do something like that. And then our first tee box is a big flat area that could hold a tent. So if wanted to do an event up in that area, that would definitely be something that's doable. If parking is really kind of the issue, we'd have to bus people in or anything. So, but in the future, definitely be open to doing something like that.
So the events would be constructed similar to Avila Golf Course. They do the tent out there all the time.
Similar, but we'd be scaled
down.
Yeah, and definitely on the smaller scale.
Sure.
I mean, we have 916 rooms, or so in Morro Bay, so everything's to scale in that sense. So that's kind of, but I think.
To give us an idea, Joel, with those outdoor events, what is the largest that you've hosted so far? You said your indoor banquet room has a capacity of 110.
There was the Oyster Festival, which was probably one of the larger events that I'm not even sure what was the number on that, but they rented the whole golf course. That was kind of big and changed our business in the sense for that weekend. So I'm thinking of a smaller, 400 or 500, people, which would.
But still, even 400 or 500 is outstanding.
Yeah,
it's a fun little.
Yeah,
event.
we could. I'm sure we could do that if we could work out the parking. So.
Okay.
Do you guys have any? That's kind of really the. Trimmed down, but I just really wanted to let you guys know that we're open. We're open for ideas, and we're ready to work with anybody.
Absolutely.
Do you know anything about the Monarch Butterfly Grove up there at the top, kind of past the clubhouse going up towards Black Hill? I know that the city's looked into.
Yeah, there's a really nice butterfly grove that's actually in the middle of the golf course, and Josh Heptig, the golf course superintendent, is working with organizations to try to figure out a trail to get up there to the Monarch Grove. And but they did tours, 4 or 5 tours this winter, and mostly through Facebook and meet at the clubhouse, and he'd safely walk them out there. So it's really amazing to see the amount of butterflies, but it's right in the middle of the golf course. So trying to figure out a safe way to get people there, but doing the tours and having it organized, worked out fine. So, go ahead.
Also, besides the Monarch Butterfly Grove that's up there, you also have one of the main accesses to get up to Black Hill too, as well, right?
Yeah, the Black Hill, the hiking trail. Is just a road that goes right through the golf course, which is pretty easy access. So, and that's one thing when you think about the state park with the campgrounds, with the Bayside Cafe in the Bay, and the hiking, and it's a really special place, and just not the golf course, the whole area, and we're lucky to have it in our city. And if you're in Hanford or Kalinga, you would love to have this opportunity, and we definitely have to take advantage of it, and and then the other thing that with Morro Bay, we every 6 o'clock every night, the news has a picture of the Rock. Talk about crazy. They don't show anything else in the county but that rock. So, go ahead. Any other questions?
Absolutely. Board, ask away.
I just wanted to thank you and your pro staff for being very accommodating. We've done a lot of tournaments, small groups, clubs, Harley Davidson groups, BMW. And it's really been nice to work with your crew there and your pro staff to be able to put these things on. And everyone's been seamless. we haven't really missed a beat. And I really like the advanced booking that we're able to do for our guests, individual guests. And the billings all worked out great. So from my perspective, it's really a win-win, for all hoteliers really to be able to partner with you and get the exposure and give our guests something that no one else has, which is that beautiful golf course and that whole area. So, thank you.
And one of the things in our county is there is 18-hole golf courses or 18-hole equivalent golf courses. So there's a lot of golf opportunities. So if we happen to have an event scheduled when someone's trying to book, there's a place to put them if they want to play golf. And obviously Dairy Creek's only 7 minutes away or 7 miles away, and then there's all kinds of golf courses, so it's not that difficult to work with all the golf courses, for people I know have multiple properties.
I had a question about, well, maybe anyone up here can answer it, whether it's hoteliers or the golf course. If anyone's compiled any kind of research about what else golfers are doing here, like if are people that are playing golf also fishing, or are they playing golf twice, or any other cross promotions possible other than just hotel plus golf course? I was curious. Other than, obviously restaurants and things like that.
I think it's the wine tasting.
Okay.
So that's part of that, and really our area is a lot of family reunions, or in Cal Poly, kids who are at Cal Poly come out here for the weekend, or they went to Cal Poly, they come back to meet their friends. So that's it's really the social aspect. That's why I think even within the city, having the parks for the barbecues and the family reunions are important.
Excellent. Stephen?
Joel, are you the best contact, or do you have a staff member for cooperative?
Hey. That's it.
It was on. Can you hear me? Green light's on.
That's all right. Yeah, the best contact really would be to call the golf course directly.
Each one individually?
Each one individually.
Okay.
Because the needs, I have no problem with being the contact, but if someone wants to do food and beverage, they'll get right to the food and beverage, and we can go right away. And like Charlie said, communication is not too difficult on that end. So if you call the clubhouse, and really Tammy and Michael at Morro Bay are the two main contacts there.
Super. Thank you.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Joel.
Thanks for having me.
Is there any other further questions, board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel. Is there any public comment on Joel's presentation or questions for him? All right, seeing none. I would like to, for the convenience of the audience as well as the necessity of items on the agenda, rearrange things here briefly. Next up was supposed to be myself giving a SlowCal update. We will absolutely get to that, but I'd like to push forward item number 8 on the agenda. Let's do that next, which is the consideration for the Morro Bay Tourism Business Improvement District annual report and the continuation of the TBID assessment for the next following fiscal year. Connie was going to be giving a presentation on this and a discussion, but we're going to have some public comment on this issue, and I know there's public comment that would be waiting through the duration of the presentation. So let's have a discussion right now. Can we move into that right now with Connie? Is that possible, or do we have a series of slideshows set up in a specific order?
That's the board's decision. It's up to.
Can you? I guess.
Yeah. So I can.
Is it easy for you to accommodate?
It is easy.
An agenda
for me.
change.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. Board, unless you have any objections. Seeing none. All right. Then let's go into, Connie, let's just begin with the staff report. Let's get the information on the table. We'll look for public comment on it.
Okay.
Yes?
Yep.
All right. Item number 8 then. The staff report has been included in the TBID packet. Like I said, probably 2 hours from now before we get to it, so I'd like to get this on the table. Connie, or you're going to have to change gears right now a little bit, right? You're going to have to change gears. I can start reading some of the information on here as presented by staff.
Just have to have it load up.
Okay.
Then I'll be ready to go. But Aaron, if you wanted to say
You want me to
anything
start?
before.
All right.
Okay.
So I'll read the staff report presented as is. I think there's going to be some good conversation on this. The staff report, recommendation, if the TBID board would like to renew the TBID, and of course we would like to renew it, I think we love what we do up here and do believe it benefits the community. The assessment district for the fiscal year of 2018, then the staff is recommending this process be initiated by filing our TBID annual report with the city clerk pursuant to Streets and Highway Code such and such. There are no alternatives recommended in this report. I think we'll have discussion to some possible alternatives and want to get that on the table. Fiscal year impact, of course, is for this following fiscal year. There is an estimated $1,042,000 in income that would be collected on behalf of the TBID, and our budget is projected at $983,000. So that is about a $60,000 discrepancy, which is money pretty responsibly well spent. We do realize that the TBID revenues, the 3% collected from our constituents, help to dramatically benefit the lodging community, which then also trickles down to the restaurant community, helps increase the TOT, which the city collects, which is 10% tax. And that TOT used by the city helps improve our streets, our parks, our stop signs, police services, you name it. My understanding it's a substantial portion of our city's budget is the TOT of that 10%. So the 3% work we are doing right now helps benefit the city altogether as a whole. Now, noted in here is a recommendation essentially to receive this and, of course, file with the city clerk for an extension. I believe we all want to continue this, but we have had multiple discussions over the last 6 months of expanding the capacity and the purview of the TBID. And so we wanted to get that on the table right now. Some discussions have been rolling this from the 89 Act to the 94 Act. And another part of the discussion has been encompassing vacation rentals into their guests, not the vacation rentals themselves, but their guests paying an additional 3% assessment. That then pushes us directly as a board here to administer those funds to help promote more guests to come to the city. And that will increase the length of stay of our guests. It'll also help us to increase the ADR of our hospitality properties. So we do see there's a lot of upside right there. And it seems like an appropriate point right now to continue that discussion. So, kind of kicked it off. I know, Connie, you were able to switch over to your staff report.
Yeah.
In the agenda, you're listed here to give a presentation, so I'll let you speak, and then we'll look for discussion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Chairman Graves. So, my name is Ikani, Deputy City Manager here. I have oversight over, with tourism. What's on the agenda right now for TBID is the 89 Act, or renewing the 89 Act. There are discussions which we can bring up on public comment, but any further discussion on the 94, that's it just has to be agendized, and we can talk about that. But what's on the agenda right now is just renewing the 89 Act. As you know, this has started for a few years. This was under the Tourism Bureau, and was taken under the umbrella of the city last year, and so basically what there is California code referred to as 36533, and in that California code, that's just the renewal for the 1989 law, which we're under. That's basically an annual renewal of the Business Improvement District, which the TBID is, and the recommendation is if TBID would like to renew the TBID assessment, then staff would recommend that we process and initiate and file pursuant to 36533, the annual report with the city clerk. So basically in the annual report that you have in your packets, there's a big report. A lot of that is information. More information is better, but the only information that we need in this report basically is could be found on the last page. So when we look down into the annual report, there's this cover letter, and then it goes into the budget of what's to come in fiscal year 17-18. But if you go back to the last page, and if you were at the annual stakeholders meeting, you would have saw this slideshow. But I want to jump back to the last page because really the meat of the annual report comes in the Appendix A. So pursuant California State Code 36533, this is really the meat of the annual report. Everything that I just went through in the slides, that supports all of this right here. If we don't answer these questions, then the report is null, basically. Somebody can say you didn't do the report full. So this is really where I would say that this is the heart of the report. The main questions are, in this annual report, we need to know if there's any changes in the boundaries. So basically, number one, after A, B, there's a number one. There is no changes to the boundaries. There are options. It's always, if you want to expound boundaries, talk about that within the board, you can do so. Number two, improvements and activities to be provided for that fiscal year. Basically, if you're at the annual stakeholders presentation, it's the PowerPoint that I just went through, and I can go through that as well. But I just wanted to share with you that in Appendix A, you can that this is really the meat of the discussion. Number three, an estimate of the cost providing improvements and activities for that fiscal year. This is basically the budget that we just went over, and I can go over in a few seconds. Number four, the method and basis of levying assessments in sufficient detail, so that the hoteliers know what their assessment is and it's not hidden. It's written here. It's a 3% self-assessment with the Morro Bay hotels and motels. So this is not anything new. It's not anything hidden. It's written right here. And the reason why the California Code has this annual report is so that if the hotels have any question on why they're being taxed, they can go back here, see that everything is clear and transparent. So this is kind of the reason for it all. So I'm just trying to give some good direction. Number five is interesting. The amount of any surplus or deficit revenues to be carried over from previous fiscal year. So when the Bureau transferred, Tourism Bureau transferred into the City Tourism Department, there was a 38,000 surplus that came in, so that was just rolled over. They want to account for any surplus or fund balance from the previous year, so accounting, budgeting is taken care of. And then number six on the next page, also interesting on a budget aspect, the amount of any contributions to be made from sources other than assessments levied pursuant to this part. Basically what this means is, in addition to the 3% assessment rate, are there any other contributions into this budget? So from my understanding, and I know there are some here who knows the contract and agreement better, but when there was a compromise made so that when the Tourism Bureau transitioned into the City Tourism Department, it wasn't easy, and so there had to be a compromise, I believe, from the city. And so what that compromise was, a $60K contribution a year, in addition to 20% incremental above $3 million. And the reason why $3 million was chosen was because that year, when the compromise was made, TOT was about 2.99, so they just rounded to $3 million. And they said anything above this base, they created $3 million as a base because that's what it was at the time. Anything in addition, the city general funds will take 20% of that increase and give it back. And so what's written here is our projections for this year, where we're going to end up, because the fiscal year isn't over, fiscal year ends in June. This is basically saying at the last line, middle says we believe TOT will be at about 3.3 million. So that 300K, 20% of that is about 74K. So add that to the 60K, we're about 134K is what we project will be in addition to the 60K. So city contributions of 134K in addition to the 3% assessment rate. And part of the compromise was that this is not forever. Once 500K is hit, then that's when city contributions are over. But those are things to think about. So as you want to get creative, there's these things happening, and if this is still in place, the TBID could do some creative things because there's additional contributions besides the 3% coming in until we hit 500K. So that's the annual report. Slideshows, really don't want to take too much time unless you think it's necessary. Jen went over this last week, but I just wanted to hit over some points wanted to show you the budget. This is the budget we're talking about that we proposed as of, and this was a snapshot taken a few weeks ago. We're still refining the budget, but this is kind of how we're looking. Revenues over expenditures, and revenues are coming in higher than expenditures, and Jen and her team have been spending conservatively. So basically in the annual report, the purpose of this is to say, basically, if the tourism department has been doing good, TBID creates an annual report and says, we need to go to city council and we need to continue the 3% assessment rate. We create this annual report together, and it comes from the TBID, and the TBID approves it and says, yes, file this with the clerk, we want to move forward. Now, the 89 Act, how that works is it's a negative protest. So 50% plus one hotels can come in, and that would happen at the public hearing if we move forward. I mean, that can happen now, but it's really recorded at the public hearing, which will happen if this moves forward. You could say right now, as TBID, we do not want this to move forward as the 89 Act. You could say we don't approve this, and then that is also totally on the table as well. But if this was to move forward and TBID approves, public approves, then the steps are, it's filed with the city clerk, it goes on the city council, and city council would have to approve it. There could be negative protest, but negative protest really isn't recorded until public hearing. So there's 2 city council meetings that has to happen. The first one is when the city clerk presents this, and we would present it in front of city council. City council then creates a resolution of intention, which basically states we intend to renew this, but we want to hear from the community. Tell us what you think. So there's this time frame, and it just has to be posted for about 10 days. And then after that, there's a second city council meeting, and that's where the public hearing happens. At the public hearing, if 50% plus one hoteliers come and protest, then they would have successfully protested against it, and then that's how this could be stopped. But besides that, if there isn't a negative protest, TBID approved it, City Council approved it, this could happen annually. So I know there's a question of, there's the 94 Act. Basically, the 94 Act, for those who don't know, it goes from a 5-year renewal. That's what makes it a difference. There's a 5-year renewal from that, so we don't have to come back every year. You don't have to take time. We don't have to take time. And it can happen after 5-year renewal. After the first 5-year renewal, then you can actually expand that to 10 years if you wanted to as well.
One thing I'll point out to the board about that is right now we're the 89 Act, which is an annual renewal process. We have a monthly meeting. We have 12 meetings a year, and effectively, from my previous experience last year, we would spend several meetings just discussing that. 2, maybe 3 meetings, you start talking 15-20% of your board time is spent discussing another annual renewal. So for the greater sake of efficiency, there are a lot of other TBIDs as well that are structured under the 94 Act, giving them a 5-year window, prove themselves, do well, gain trusted within the community, and then just put your nose down and get to work. So
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, of course. So this TBID annual report, that's basically it in a nutshell. If you have any questions, I can go over any of the slides with you, but I just don't, there's 100+ pages in here. Didn't want to go over all of it unless you wanted to. So
I get it.
Feel free to identify.
I think the thoughts here were stemming is at the first quarter of this year and the end of the last quarter of last year. The discussion was, of course, the 94 Act, but a large part of it was also encompassing the vacation rentals, bringing them into the process with us. We know there are 200, I've heard varying numbers, 250, 300, 200 vacation rentals in the area. The average vacation rental has 2 bedrooms in it. So in fact, they could be absorbing anywhere from 400 to 600 room nights. Now we're only a town with 900 plus or minus room nights. So there's a substantial amount of hotel inventory that is effectively out there in the form of a vacation rental. As a board, we had very great discussion about it. We set apart a subcommittee, and our conclusion as a board was we did want to reach out to vacation rentals on a grassroots effort, build their trust, bring them in with us, allow their guests to pay into the 3% assessment, and we will promote vacation rentals as part of this process. As a board, we felt completely in agreement with that. The only reason we did not push this further a few months back is we said, the TBID is now under the purview of the city. Let's give the city 12 months running the TBID to show that they are able to do a good job. We're still the same TBID, we're members of the community up here, and we're kind of moving forward business as usual. But now we're hitting that 12-month mark, excuse me, which is why it seems appropriate to bring that conversation back to the table right now. And that was always our goal, was at the 12 months, let's reach out to vacation rentals. Excuse me, let's fold them in at the 12-month mark, but we need to begin that work prior to the 12-month. So, Connie, and maybe this is a Scott Graham question. He gave us a great presentation last time. We want to begin that process. I think all the board felt very passionate. Taylor was extraordinarily passionate about it. I loved his discussion as well.
So, Chairman Graves, I think before we bring up a new item, we have to focus on this one, because that would be bringing up a
You're right.
new item.
And
So
that's why I
maybe we could
realized-
bring that as further discussions at the end and say.
But
Although
before
that's
we
interesting.
move, and I want to open this up to public comment as well, but my concern is if we move to approve this as is, what is the significance on us then effectively changing a couple of the points in here when we look at changing the boundaries, if you will, and bringing in vacation rentals? Does that make sense? I hate to approve something when we actually need to modify it. But I think
Yeah,
those are
so
the
you
line.
can approve this, but I mean, it could change. This can change anytime. So, for instance, if we wanted to go, because I think what you're saying is we don't want to approve this and then we're stuck with this. Well,
Exactly.
You can approve this, and then if modifications need to happen, there's a modification clause that we could modify as well. I mean, we could dissolve this and start the 94, from my understanding, at any time. We just dissolve this.
With the dissolution of this, though, does that then compromise the whole thing, could end up dissolving from underneath us? We try to roll to 94. It just seems to me that now is a time to address this issue. Maggie, I hear
Yeah.
thoughts from her.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, and that's what I wanted to clarify, is as you laid it out, Connie, we would today, if we approve this, we would say, yes, we approve it, and please take it forward to the council, right? And that you said there, then, unless 50 or 50% plus one of the current taxing lodging properties that are being taxed protested it, it would move, probably move forward.
That's correct.
If, to Aaron's point, if we are going to bring in the vacation rentals, I agree with Aaron that we would need to modify this and modify the boundaries, because then in that protest, those numbers would need to be counted. What I don't think would be fair would be using the current scope of it and approving it, and 50, and you don't get any of the hoteliers, and then a month later, then the vacation rental people who didn't have a chance to come forward and protest weren't included in that and just automatically voted in. So in my mind, the course of action ought to be, if we're going to bring them in, it needs to be done as part of this, so that then they get the opportunity to vote, to either show up and protest it or be silent and go forward with it. Does that make sense?
So that makes sense, Maggie. I was just,
Thinking.
And board, I would encourage all of you, let's dialogue right now. Let's solve this problem. We had a conclusion before. We set it aside. We kind of tabled it, but that affects our vote today.
So I was at the last the city council meeting where we talked about the adding the vacation rentals and the trailer parks, and we also discussed the T-bids review of that and what Aaron just explained. From my point of view, this is a lot of process and paperwork and stuff like that, and we need to establish that there's a process of establishing the T-bid and keeping it going, that model. And then right now what we're all agreeing to, the city council, which agreed at the meeting, and now the board is publicly agreeing that we, without a vote, we all want to put the vacation rentals and the trailer parks into the bid. I would think that we would need to keep with the regular yearly agenda of what we have to do to be the bid, and if we're going to add something, right now we all have the intention of doing it, there's a process to that. And it's not something you just start all of a sudden today. You just do it today. No, there's like a process to that. So I would think that, like all processes in our government, there'll be a time for the people involved who are being assessed to debate and discuss and all of that. But it's not something that's just, we haven't even given the opportunity here today to talk about it. Here we are talking about their money, and they're not here. So, obviously we can't add them today. But we have to continue with the bid process. So it would be my opinion that we should, if we want to continue the bid, we do that today, and then we all now need to add this vacation rental and trailer park to the bid. And if that is what happens, which we intend for it to happen, then at that time there's a process where they'll come, they'll talk, and we'll vote, and we'll all have this discussion. I don't think that if we approve the bid today that we're taking away their opportunity to participate. They're not in it yet. That our government's not set up to take advantage of me. I hope our government's not set up to take advantage of people. If it is, then we need to change that, obviously. Does that make sense?
Perfect. So to clarify, I am not advocating at all. I know it's not within our purview. We want the vacation rentals in this discussion. I'm simply postulating the question that if we approve this today as is, does that limit our ability to have that conversation with the vacation rentals? If it does limit our ability, then maybe we should table this for 30 days and allow them to. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
I don't want to pick path A. I don't want to be a.
No, so the understanding was, we move forward with this. We still have options to do everything you and Maggie are referring to still. So really, the other time-sensitive things is that this initiates the process, and if we don't get this done, the city is on a fiscal year in July, and so we have to hit 2 public meetings, and then we have to have a public hearing as well. So if we postpone this for 30 days, my only concern is we may not hit that fiscal year where this should have been approved, and public hearing should have happened. So, but with that, I would say we are safe to still do everything that all the board is requesting right now, and we wouldn't shoot ourselves in the foot if we, we could move forward and still do everything you're asking for and requesting. We still have options to do all that, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Does anybody have any further questions for our Deputy City Manager? Sean?
Is there any kind of clause in the existing document that simply says we fully intend to do this moving forward, whether it's in 3 to 6 months or any kind of timeline to at least specify that this is the board's intention as previously decided? Or is that just,
Well, as a subcommittee, we discussed this. It was discussed, but there was never a specific time, and we never wanted to hold ourselves to a time. We understood that the passion was there, it comes from the board. But, although it's not stated, it's clearly, it almost seems that more than likely it's going to happen, even though it's not stated. Something's going to happen this fiscal year starting July, a movement towards. So, although it's not stated, though, in here about that, because it was just made clear right now that we're over the dais right now.
If I can make a comment. Can you hear me now? Okay. And forgive me, I'm new to this board, so maybe this is somewhat of a personal comment, but out of our 3 properties, we represent about 100 hotel rooms, which approximately 11-12% of your hotel stock here in Morro Bay. My family's been operating hotels on the Central Coast since the early 70s. I've seen the numbers before tourism marketing districts existed. I know they work. I have been contacted by some other larger hotel owners in this area with feelings on this issue. Personally, I don't know why vacation rentals wouldn't be included, and I think we're all in agreement, it sounds like. They have guests that use the same services, but representing, quote, a large hotel, I would feel much more in support of this, as I know more people would if we brought in vacation rentals sooner the better. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Excellent point. Thank you, Stephen. So first, does the board have any further discussions or questions for the deputy city manager?
I do,
Maggie.
yeah. And I'll be, everyone knows I represent both sides of the fence. I'm a hotelier as well as a vacation rental manager. And as I look at this and I see that the train's going down the tracks, that vacation rentals are going to be paying into this. So I did a little research and at our neighboring communities. And what I found is, as far as the T-bids in Pismo, they pay 1%, and vacation rentals and RV parks do pay into that. The county T-bid is 1%. Paso Robles pays 2%, but vacation rentals don't pay into that. Atascadero, 2%, only hotels. Monterey does a totally different kind of assessment where they pay, it's not a percentage, it's $2 per night per room or whatever. I have all the data here. Santa Barbara does a similar model to them. So what's a hard pill, and I've thought this from the time as a hotelier, my hotels that I manage were not in existence in 2013 when this was voted in, so I didn't have the opportunity to participate in the original assessment. But I really have to challenge why it's 3% when all of our neighbors don't do that. Are we really seeing a 1 to 2% better result from our tourism board than, and I feel guilty, I'm part of the board, so if I need to be saying this as public comment, I'm happy to step on the other side of the mic. But I think the thing that's really hard for me as a vacation rental manager, speaking from that perspective, is the 3% thing. You come at me with the 1%, I'm all over it. You can come at me with maybe 2%. I just have to challenge, and I wasn't here for the original decisions as to why 3% was landed on, but when I don't see it being done anywhere else, I feel like that disadvantages us against our competing communities. So right up the road, Cayucas pays 2% less on there. So I just need, that's my comment, and if anyone here can provide me background on that. But if I were to suggest any change to this assessment going forward, it would not be about the boundaries of it, but it would be about the percentage. And I would like to see it go down at a minimum to 2%, and would love to see it go down to 1%. And I think you'd get a lot more buy-in from the. And I look at the budget and I realize, we spend a lot of stuff on marketing, and 983 or 783,000 on marketing, which hats off to Middle Marketing. And I realize they're doing lots of things, and I'll be the first to admit this. Everyone benefits from this, but I also read in the report that 40% of the visitors are overnight guests, and 60% are day guests. So when I hear that, then what you're doing is putting the burden of all the promotions on the back of those 40% people who stay at night. And so why doesn't the business, the retailers and the restaurants form a bid and kick into some of this promotional stuff? Because really 60% of the business is people just using their services. So when I look at the way this is allocated, I have a real issue with it.
I'm sorry, to clarify, the 1 or 2% would be just for vacation rentals or across the board?
No, across the board. I would like to see hoteliers, vacation rentals, RV parks, us go down to be more on par with our neighboring communities. And again, I welcome anyone who can give me a background on why the 3% was selected and determined.
I think that at this point might even be, I don't know if there's any board members that were here at that time, so I don't think we can have that discussion. To stay on point, though, with the agenda, I didn't want it to digress too much. Our primary concern, I want to open up to public comment now, and I do appreciate City Council. There's only a couple months left. They need to approve, need to move forward. I just wanted to confirm absolutely that if we approve this as is, this does not stop us from having a good grassroots conversation with vacation rentals, and if they wish to be included in the assessment, then we can have that conversation shortly.
That's correct.
100%. Thank you, Ikani.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, but can we also say that we have the opportunity to have a conversation about the percentage being assessed?
Absolutely,
Or-
that was perfect, and that was part of the conversation the subcommittee had. We actually put in a budget, a basic matrix together, where we showed if vacation rentals come to the table, there's so much more that we can spend to promote Morro Bay. If we lower the assessment and bring them into the purview, and so it's a basic matrix right there, and we can see are we dollars up, dollars down, and how does that affect Morro Bay? So I think that is part of that conversation as well. Excellent. I'd like to open the microphone up to public comment on this issue. Is there any public comment?
Thank you, Chair Graves, for moving this up a little bit ahead. And my name is John Solu. I'm a resident of Morro Bay as well as owner of Establishment Motel. It's really great that you guys are having this conversation, but I'm sorry, but I'm going to disagree with all due respect with some of the people. When this was born in 2009, we were the first city to start the tourism board district out of the whole county. I was involved in the 2007 effort when we were trying to do a county effort, trying to get everybody together. That's when the Visitor and Conference Bureau was there, and now it's Visit California, whatever. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of their new organization, but at that time, we were trying to do a 1% across the board to everybody for the county, and unfortunately, it failed. And when it failed, the city of Morro Bay had decided, you know what, we need to start our own. So I, along with a few other Asian American hotel owners, got together and basically said, either we're going to try to convince 30 operators, or we're going to try to convince 150 additional operators of vacation rentals. So that's one of the reasons at that time we felt in order to push this through as fast as we can, we only needed our audience of about 30 to 35 operators at the time. Because if we decide to include vacation rentals, I mean, almost every vacation rental has a separate owner. There was a legal issue about does the agent vote or does the owner vote and so forth, so we decided to just go only with hotels. Second of all, that I'd just like to correct, including, with all due respect, the Assistant City Manager too, this is not a tax. This is an assessment. We do not have to pass this on to the customers. As a matter of fact, when this was born in 2009, there were 3 operators in this town for a few months, not knowing, actually paid the 3% out of their pocket and didn't even charge the customer. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is an assessment. It's not a tax. The next thing, with all due respect, staff makes a recommendation to the City Council. There's no reason you as the advisory board to make an amendment to that recommendation and say you want to include vacation rentals. Say you want to include RV parks. The first reading of this ordinance will be read next Tuesday. There's a 30-day period that a protest happens. Taylor, nice tie. And I respect that other people should be involved and the other owners should be involved in this thing, and the owners should be able to, vacation rental owners should be able to voice their opinion. They'll have the whole month of May to do that. I mean, when the ordinance went in to limit vacation rentals in the city of Morro Bay last year, there was about 130 registered. There's about 250 now. That's, Aaron was right, 500 rooms additional. I mean, you take 2 rooms to a vacation rental, there's 500 additional rooms that are actually competing with us, and they're not paying anything. And I just ran a report. When the TBID started, vacation rental receipts were $1.3 million. That's their gross receipts. Last year, they ran $3.2 million. That's almost a 300% increase. I don't know about you guys, but now at the 456 Embarcadero, I'm competing against those guys. And if you're saying you're not, and I don't know how the 100-room representatives, the 10-room representatives, the 6-room representatives talk, you got 500 rooms that are not paying anything into this kitty. And there's no reason for you to amend the recommendation the city staff made to include vacation rentals. That is one of the reasons that we decided not to do it back in 2009. You asked about why are we 3%, why are they 2%. I remember a conversation about a year and a half ago. We wanted to reduce ourselves down to 2% and include vacation rentals. And I think two of the board members, one is still here, voted for that. But then it got shot down and just went on with whatever the city staff said. But there's no reason for you to not even make that recommendation. Let's talk about 89 versus 94. One thing that was really left out. In 94, rule is 50.1% has to say yes. 89 rule says 50.1% has to say no. That's the big difference between the two. Everything the city said they were going to do, there was an appendix there, they showed it. The last part of that appendix that was not, that needs to be included in there is stakeholders have a right till May 23rd, or whatever the date is, I don't remember the date of this year, to actually protest this thing. And I don't recall ever, for the last 6 years, one property protesting this thing. There's a lot of grumbling going on right now as potentially that could be happening. There could be 1 or 2 this year, 3 or 4 next year. But these are the kind of things that you guys need to be focused on and really make a recommendation to the city council. That's what you're here for. You're not here to just say, I agree with the city staff report. If you are, then why are we even having these meetings? Let Jim do the staff report and be done with it. One other thing, correction that I'd like to make on what the presentation that was made that kind of went over. There's a section in here that talks about average rates, average room rates and so forth in the hotel. I don't know how we got a $100 vacation rental average rate. That can't be right. I mean, if they are, then those vacation rental owners are crazy. Then they're competing only with, I hate to say this, with Motel 6. They're not competing with us, some of us other ones. So, and I hate to use Joel here because I asked Joel, he says, majority of my players are really staying in vacation rentals. They're competing with us. And here we are paying the $1 million, $900 million of our money and basically saying, here, we're going to promote you too. Now, it's a big task trying to get retails and restaurants and everybody into this thing. So, I don't know how to do that. I love to get those people involved in it too, but that is something that you really need to talk about. And one of the other things is, city, when we had the TBID in '89, city every year contributed something to the TBID, either towards events or towards this and so forth. And I appreciate the contract the city wrote saying they're going to pay X number of dollars and next year it's going to be $132,000. I can tell you back in 2000, the city gave $300,000 and there was no TBID to the promotions committee, which I was on back in 2000. So we want the city to be partners with us, continue to be partners with us, but think about it, especially you hotel owners there that's sitting across from me. There's 500 rooms. There's 60% of the inventory that's not contributing anything and taking advantage of us. And one of the other things that is going to become a big challenge with vacation rentals, I can tell you right now because it was a challenge back in 2007 when we couldn't convince them. There's contracts that are written out a year out. In that contract, it talked about your rate is $200 a night to stay in this house plus a 10% or 11%. So that's the contract. So operators really had a tough time at that time to go, how are we going to ask that customer to give 3% more into this thing? Just like how the county TBID got rolled out, there's no reason for the city to say for the first year, if John Solu Vacation Rental has a contract for $200 and there was no 3% added on, to let that go this year and eventually phase it in for any contracts that happen from May on. So, all I'm saying is that, you can make any recommendation you want. Approve this with additional conditions, is what I'm asking you to do. Getting into the 94 thing, I love to do that, so we don't have to have this conversation every single year. But man, you're definitely, that's probably a process for 2017-18 to go through. But not to recommend not vacation rentals included in this thing. And you know, I hate to say this, those people that are on the waterfront paying TOT, county T-bid, Morro Bay T-bid, plus a percentage to the city for rent, you know, so, but unfortunately, the biggest RV park in this town, which is, by this, excuse my language, the sewer plant, they actually pay ground rent as a percentage to the city. So they're in the same boat. So, I mean, that's our largest RV park that's here that's collecting TOT for us. So I'm not saying we do RVs or not, but man, you know, there's $100,000 of promotions money sitting there. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Is there any further public comment? All right, seeing none. The Solos were, as I mentioned at our annual stakeholder meeting 2 weeks ago, extraordinarily instrumental. Effectively, they were the ones that created the T-bid. So their background knowledge, I think, surpasses any of ours tremendously. So thank you very much for those thoughts. So apparently, from the T-bid originators here, we can make a recommendation and alter the plan as sent back to City Council. Ikani?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is correct. I just want to clarify, we set up a subcommittee, and this recommendation is going off of what the subcommittee was set up for. So the subcommittee wanted to move forward with the recommendation. We met months ago, and this is exactly what we recommended, was to move forward, and then we discuss after the fiscal year. So what I'm hearing different, I mean, obviously the recommendation could be whatever you want, and you can change it. Just wanted to clarify that this is, if you could go back in your discussions and remember, it's not just my city staff recommendation. We set up a subcommittee, and together collectively with that subcommittee, some of you met on that. This is what it was. So that's it. So feel free to make a recommendation.
And that subcommittee consisted of some of our board members currently up here right now.
That's correct.
Yeah. Taylor, I see you're waiting.
I mean, after listening to everything, and I mean, this is obviously how our processes work, you know, and that's the beauty of our country. So this gives us all the opportunity to talk and figure things out, and the city's job is to move the process along as a machine, and the people involved, it's our job to jump in and tell them what they want. And we just did that. So, I mean, from my point of view, what I would do from what I'm hearing is the 2% and an all-in bid. I mean, that sounds like what, I mean, and then just to point it out, if you did drop it to 2% and it was an all-in bid, it would give you the opportunity to motivate the business district to maybe jump in with that other 1% eventually. You know, that would be to equal the current 3%. But if I were to move it forward, it sounds like that was what everybody wants, and I'd be totally for that.
I want us to move forward. I don't want us to immediately advocate, honestly, without looking at the numbers, a 1%. I mean, it's a 33% reduction in income. We do have a budget set forward here, so that might be a little premature. But it seems to me, though, that I would not agree with saying that right now. I think we've 100% agreement from public comment, what we've heard in the community, as well as all of us as hoteliers and board members. We would like to have this conversation with the vacation rentals, and we need City Council, since this is the City Department of Tourism, to push that forward. Correct? So to move on, I would advocate we take the recommendation as is and amend it to say that we want the vacation rentals to be part of this conversation and to move fervently forward to bringing them to the table and having that happen. Mr. Solo pointed out the 94 Act is a little more complicated, so that might be biting off a little more than we can right now, but at least let's get vacation rentals in this. Board, does that sound like a nice compromise to move forward? We do have other things on the agenda today as well, of course.
I agree, and I don't know if there's already been this discussion, but I think enforcement, especially with vacation rentals, it's easy enough to audit hotels every 3 years, but how do you, I mean, is city staff going to be checking VRBO and Airbnb and making sure that, you know, it just seems like it's something that potentially is going to take a lot of staff time, so I think that needs to be considered too.
That's a very good point.
Discussion.
The next item on the agenda is actually, I'm on the board of directors for SlowCal, which is our county tourism board. And at yesterday's meeting, we just had a detailed discussion about vacation rentals. We have outsourced a consulting company to put together a map of them and confirmation and working together with them. So this conversation to all out there, as well as us board members, this is not a City of Morro Bay conversation. This is a countywide, statewide, and even a countrywide conversation. So if there are the vacation rentals that disagree with this, we're not picking on you. It's happening at a county level, state level, and a nationwide level. So very good question, Stephen. Any further thoughts, board? Can we make a motion here?
I think it's just important to bring up that we don't just loosely bring in vacation rentals into what is a pretty comprehensive document and just tack on vacation rentals. There are a lot of specific issues that obviously need to be hashed out, and probably many of those had been at subcommittee. It feels like this document is pretty far along in the process to just tack on vacation rentals, although there seems to be a lot of support psychologically about that. Dealing with enforcement, you know, certainly if you were going to increase an assessment from 0% to 3%, you'd need to show equal value rather than just say they're piggybacking on the dollars of existing hoteliers. You need to create budget numbers for enforcement that then permanently legitimize the existing short-term rental permit holders, and whether or not that remains in moratorium or not, that obviously needs to be discussed as well. You know, we don't need to get entirely into the debate again about vacation rentals, because it's it's an important one that needs to take plenty of time. But I'm just a little bit nervous about tacking on a bullet point that says, oh yes, and all this applies to vacation rentals.
Now, to clarify, though, this is our recommendation to City Council. We give recommendations. It is a city government agency, so this will then go to City Council. They'll look at it, and this is what we would like them to do. In the end, they are the ones that have to drive this process.
So just one thing, again, so the council back, we may have to come back again and amend it, and so you guys would have to approve it, because what the report says is not what you guys are requesting. So I'm hoping we don't have to, because I don't want to push back time, because I want to implement whatever you want to recommend. But what I'm saying is, I wish we would have this good discussion prior to this meeting, because this could have all been done because the packets are ready to council as was stated in this recommendation, which things can change, but it just had to be done with that timing. Had we had this meeting, and we said this last TBID, the report would have reflected what you just said. So I'm going to have to go back to clerk's office and see can we make this quick recommendation, but with legal noticing and timing, I don't know if that would have happened. So worst case scenario, we may have to wait till next council to start the process of the two council
I get it.
sessions.
It's just time flies. We all were for this. It's now been a few months, and it's like we want to get something in writing. I think the board feels we need to get something in writing. We need to tell City Council how we feel we need to move forward with this.
And then just, you guys may remember who were on the subcommittee, one of the issues that we brought up is the 89 Act and bringing VRs and RVs under that. Mm-hmm. One of the issues that came up is if we did the 89 right now and the TBID decided in a few months to go with the 94, would that be too much trauma for the VR and RV to get, switch under the 89, kicking and screaming, and then now we just switched over to the 94. So that was another thing that I wanted to bring up is,
right.
is that was one of the challenges.
I think that the 94 Act would be subordinate to getting the vacation rentals and the RV parks in this conversation, considering it accounts for 55, 60% of our inventory. Taylor?
I have a question to you, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
So, from my point of view, as my position on the board, can I make a motion right now? Or ask, I can make a motion then
Absolutely. We've had a good conversation.
Right? I have a right to do that?
You have the right to do that.
Okay, so I make a motion, but I can still make a motion right now, right?
Yes, you can make a motion.
Okay,
You'll have to have
so-
the motion seconded.
Right, totally. I've done that before. So I make a motion that we approve the bid, but we add vacation rentals and trailer parks, as we've discussed, in this new bid, and that's what my motion is.
Do we hear a second on that motion?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have, I'm sorry, Stephen, I didn't hear you down there. Did you, or abstentions?
I think I need a new
did not
mic.
get there either.
I
Need a-
voted in favor.
Closer, I need to count. That was an aye? All right, so we have 4 in favor, 2 opposed, and are there any abstentions? That would be no. So in that case, then, the motion passes 4-2. We move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, I have to understand this process, because I would like to make an alternative motion. And that would be that we include vacation rentals and RV parks, and we drop the assessment rate down to 1%.
All right. Do we have a second on that motion? Seeing no second, the motion does die on the floor. Thank you, Maggie. Maggie, I will note, though, that the budget conversation, I think, will be part of this as we move forward, realistically. It should be had. All right.
I really have to say, I feel like I've just been put on a railroad and run down the track, because what I keep hearing is, well, we've already done the report, and so we're this far down the process and we don't have time to change it. So now it's going to be incumbent upon enough people coming out to the council meetings and protesting this to change it. It's just it's all time. Yes, I know you did the budget, and I agree totally with Connie that we should have been discussing this months ago so they could have adjusted. These issues should have come up. But now we find ourselves at a point where, it's the budget's in place. We got to move on down the track, and it's going to be 3%. And we're going to bring in vacation rentals, and it's going to be a lot more money. And I'd like to see results of what we're seeing from that money. I'm really upset about this.
Thank you for your comment, Maggie. All right, next item on the agenda, then.
Hey, Aaron?
Yes, sir.
We have a video from Brett. I don't think that it might take long. It was more of kind of more supposed to be done in the beginning. Amgen commercial. So it's
Really? It wasn't on the, I'm sorry. It was a quick thing prior
Yeah,
to this?
it's a quick thing, so it may lift our spirits, hopefully.
Let's lift those spirits. Okay.
So this is a 30-second TV commercial that's going to be shown during the Imagine by Grace in ABC. And we've spent the past month doing a ton of filmmaking. We've shot hours and hours.
Oh, sorry.
Like that? Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So we spent the past month filming all sorts of activities around Morro Bay that we believe attract people to stay at hotels and to come visit the city and enjoy everything that we have here. So this is a 30-second version. We're going to be doing a series of short films that highlight each one of the activities that you see within the TV spot. And that will be later down the road, but I'll just play this for you guys.
life on coast in Morro Bay.
Great.
Very cool.
Great. I'm glad you guys like it. And there's obviously a lot more where that came from. If we have another minute, maybe I could just play a bit of this. If it will
Please do.
Thanks.
That is really good.
Thank you.
That is great.
Thanks. Well, we're excited to be here. I own a creative communications company. We moved to Morro Bay about a year ago, and most of our clients are based out of New York City and in foreign countries, but we want to support local businesses and in turn support tourism and support our own companies so that we can stay here in Morro Bay. And we're right across from Joe's Surf Shop, so if you guys ever want to stop by, please do.
And your dark horse? Okay, excellent. Are you a subcontractor then for mental marketing, or what's the relationship?
No, we were contracted by is it the city, I guess. Yeah, by the city. We're not a subcontractor of anyone. We're totally independent.
Great. Those are awesome looking pieces. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. All right, moving along here. Next item on the agenda is I'll give a very brief update from SlowCal, which was the recent name change from Visit San Luis Obispo County. SlowCal is the new brand. We just had our board meeting yesterday, so I'll try to keep this as swift as possible. The largest takeaway from yesterday's meeting is SlowCal will be hosting its tourism exchange and luncheon. This will be on May 11th at the Embassy Suites. Many of you may have been able to attend it last year. Phenomenal event. Last year was at the Fremont Theater. We've decided this year to move it to the Embassy Suites, as well as change the format, make it a little more interactive with everyone. So there'll be registration starts at 11 a.m., and then the luncheon is from 11:30 a.m. to about 1:15. There'll be presentations from the CEO and president of SlowCal, Chuck Davison, as well as we're very honored to be welcoming the president and CEO of Visit California. Now that is a big budget. Carolyn Batetta, she'll be coming down and giving a presentation on the state of California, China readiness, and a lot of large initiative items. After lunch adjourns at 1:15, then from 1:45 until about 4:30, there's 3 separate educational breakout events in about 45-minute windows for each one of those. Attend them at your leisure. The first one will be a lodging outlook and a forecast from SlowCal, as well as Smith Travel Report. A lot of us know them as STAR. The second educational session will be social media and an influencer panel and how that affects tourism. And then the last will be Forbes Travel Guide Customer Service Standards. After that adjourns at 4:30 p.m., we will then be having a reception from 5 to 7 at the Monday Club. So it should be a really fun event. We're encouraging as many people to attend as possible. Please log on to the SlowCal website and register. A couple other brief updates. We just kind of covered this at our last topic 10 minutes ago, but host compliance at a county level, we are reaching out to all of the vacation rentals and so forth and bringing them into the fold, having conversations with them, and that was that map that I showed earlier, is identifying all the vacation rentals, Airbnbs, VRBOs, homeways, and so forth throughout the county, having conversations with them and doing so. So that will help strengthen our entire tourism community as a whole and bring greater synergy within the region.
Quick question on that, Aaron.
Absolutely.
My understanding is that there is vacation rental representation on your committee.
There is, yes.
And so when you say you're reaching out to vacation rentals in beyond, can you say a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So each of this, within the incorporated cities, we are not reaching out to them because we are leaving that up to the cities. So the city of San Luis Obispo, Morro Bay, Pismo Beach, Paso Robles, they're having that conversation. So actually, and forgive me, this is just a paper map. I know that the camera probably cannot read it, but when we look at a map of the county here, there are some missing gaps, and that's within the city limits. So the county has reached out to all the unincorporated regions, which is a tremendous amount. They have identified on this map here, there are identified as short-term rental properties, 875 kind of in the outlaying, and we've just begun this process. So they prepared a letter reaching out to them, just explaining the process of TOT, TBIDs, and how this whole thing works. So the follow-up letters have not been constructed yet, and we're kind of evolving this, but basically having the conversation.
I had another question. So it's an assessment district then, the SlowCal?
Yes, SlowCal's an assessment district,
and
self-assessed.
What's the ratio of hotel representation of hoteliers versus vacation rental owners in terms of representation in relation to the actual assessed?
On the board itself?
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question. We are a board of 15. There's a couple of member at-large positions. I represent B&Bs, for example. There is a vacation rental. She is Sarah from Templeton. She runs an Airbnb up in that area. There's a couple. Forgive me for... Honestly, go ahead.
I guess the question is, are the board positions open equally to vacation rental owners at the same ratio, or are they designated to hoteliers on the assessed board? Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite...
On that particular board,
yes.
Are the assigned... I mean, we have a certain assigned slots for hoteliers, for example...
Right.
Or at large, but there's nothing specifically
rentals
mentioned about vacation rentals. Do they have something like that?
Yes, no, there is a seat on our board that is vacation rental representation. Yeah, so she speaks on behalf of vacation rentals.
Okay.
A designated seat for vacation rentals. It's not accidental. Vacation rentals absolutely have a seat at the table with us. We meet every month as well. Public meetings, and they're actually we stay in a destination 2 times, so 2 months in one place, and then we go to another place, and we always deliberately move it around the county, north, south, east, west.
Okay, and 1 out of 15 is a designated vacation rental owner.
I want to say that's the case. There may be another person.
Okay.
Forgive me for not
That's okay.
knowing that exactly. Good question, Sean.
In their bylaws for being formed as an organization, I'm sure they have like a percentage or a certain number of the board that represents a percentage that is the vacation rentals or trailer parks, right?
It's all
pre-stipulated.
Yeah, when the assessment was passed, all of that was part of the public hearing process to establish the board of 15, and that was voted on, and that was before my time on the board, so I couldn't tell you the history of how we arrived at those numbers, but that was all part of the public discussion. How many seats, who represent what, and how that plays out. So they even acknowledged bed and breakfast, for example,
And all of those are defined specifically by that board, like what a bed and breakfast is versus what a vacation rental is. I just think these are important issues to bring up if someone is going to be assessed, that those people are spoken for.
My understanding is it was all written out in great detail. Like I said, I wasn't there at the inception or that initial voting process. But we have very good discussions as well as a board. And they're all public hearings. Come to them.
And then all the documentation is public, too. You can
Yes.
request that.
Yeah, full transparency.
Anybody could get it anywhere.
Absolutely.
Right.
Good question, Sean. Thank you. A couple other updates. A tremendous update was we have been working for the last couple of years to get greater air service brought to the county here. There had been no new flights. I know Chuck Davison mentioned that 2 weeks ago at our annual stakeholder meeting. Last week, the first inaugural flight went out to Seattle, so that is a flight one a day right now. We have been tracking the pace report on that, and so far every flight over the last week has been 75 to 95% occupied going both ways. We knew that San Luis Obispo would be excited to go to Seattle, but there's always been that question, and a tremendous effort has gone into getting Seattle to want to come here. So watching that pace report yesterday was phenomenal to see that they were just as full going both ways. And then, of course, as we all know, in June, our direct flights to Denver begin as well. So we're really starting to spread out into much further markets, which will help our business tremendously. Lots of other things here. Of course, Highway 1 closure communication. There has been some misinformation in the media. The Tribune ran an article. They did not check their facts that Highway 1 was to be open on September 30th, for example. Then the Mercury News picked that up. SlowCal was very quick to reach out to them. SlowCal is in direct conversations with Caltrans. They have not set a date. That is not firm. That was bad media publication and makes us look bad as an area. So SlowCal was very aggressive about trying to shut that down as quickly as they could. We need to be accurate to our guests, and they know how to come here. Conference Center feasibility plan update. And for those of you that aren't familiar, we committed a certain amount of funds to bring in outside companies to look at this entire area and what would be the possibility, the feasibility of creating a county conference center to help our midweek and off-season business, something outside of the scope of our smaller conference rooms that are at our current hotels. The executive summary of that study will be available the first week of May for all to see, and we're going to be encouraging the private development community, counties, you name it, to look at this and start seeing, do they want to execute such a project? It would be phenomenal for our county to have a large center. Now, don't quote me on this, but I want to say they have a request a week or every 2 weeks at SlowCal for a large event to come here, and we just don't have the capacity to house them. And they haven't even solicited those kind of requests. So if we were to have an establishment that was phenomenal, we could drive a lot of business our way. And a few other small minutia details, so we will leave that off the summary, but effectively that's what happened in the last 30 days at SlowCal. Is there any discussion from the board? Seeing no discussion, open up to public comment. Seeing no public comment, we will close that portion down. I do apologize, folks, here. I'm going to try to keep us, we want to move through these as quickly as possible. I appreciate we all have other things to do today, and we did take a lot of time up to this point. Next item listed as 5, is the February TOT report presented by our Deputy City Manager.
All right, so on the screen, TOT February 2016, 2017 year-over-year comparison. As you would expect, the numbers aren't too grand for Morro Bay, mostly because if you look on the bottom right, market factors, Highway 1 closed, 41 closed from February 1st to February 11th, which we knew that takes a big toll on our city when that happens. It did rain a lot as well, which doesn't help our city. So from the top, on the top left, you'll see a chart year over year. All the other cities, according to the STAR report, were pretty steady pertaining to RevPAR. The only one that had a decline was San Simeon, which was kind of similar to the decline that we had. Everyone else held steady or did better year over year. But as was expected, we expected January and February to be lower months for us, but it's ticking right back up from the pulse that we have in March and April. So hopefully you're seeing that in your hotels and vacation rentals as well. So just keep going down, Aaron, or
Yeah, continue your report,
Okay.
and I think the board, feel free to engage in Connie with
'Cause-
any conversations.
Okay.
Well, about TOT.
Oh, about TOT?
Right.
Okay, perfect.
Still on this.
So that's all, yeah.
Is that it for TOT?
That's it for TOT.
Okay.
I just have a quick question. Do you know what's categorized here as North Coast? Is that Cambria? Do you know what that encompasses?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
No, I'm
because
not.
I see San Simeon broken out separately. And I guess my question is, our rates did go down. I look at North Coast and see they were pretty steady, and if anything, given the Highway 1 closure, I would have thought it'd been easier to get to Morro Bay than to get up there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, just questioning if we have any, I look at the other factors, I see the big storm electrical outage, but I'm not quite sure how that would affect
Yeah.
rooms, so just wondered if there was any further
The
research on that.
state park closed for over 2 weeks. The Inn at Morro Bay was closed for 4 days due to no electricity in the park. The state park roads were closed at both ends,
Yeah.
effectively shutting me down.
Yeah.
So that big electricity was in the park.
Okay, thank you. That's perfect explanation. Yeah.
I've got a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the city's position, just out of curiosity, for B&B that's in the visitor serving zoning and basically operating as an apartment building, or maybe even a larger property that converts to monthly rentals in the wintertime and is not paying TOT? Does the city enforce that at all?
Or it depends. They probably be under. Are you talking about? Are they paying TOT? So if they act as a vacation rental, then because they're probably
No, they would be in the visitor serving zoning, not paying TOT, and basically operating as a month-to-month rental instead of nightly or weekly.
that probably would be like a Airbnb or a vacation rental. Would that? Because basically, because we see it. If it's not a hotel, then it's a VRRV.
My understanding, if you go to 31 days, then TOT is off. It's not monthly rental, so it's...
No matter what the zoning is?
That I could not tell you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't had the zoning question.
We've had guests that stay over 30 days and are exempt from tax. So it's not preferred because it becomes a tenant-landlord agreement, and so we've decided not to do long-term stays at the inn because of the tenant-landlord agreement after 30 days. They can cause you some pain.
I was made aware of some B&Bs in vacation zoning that are basically converted into apartment buildings, not paying any TOT tax. So I was wondering what the city's position was on the hook. Good question.
Yeah. If there are, go ahead, Maggie.
Okay.
Sorry.
And just another added fact is my hotel that I manage is down on the Embarcadero, and the harbor disallows rentals over 29 nights. So we cannot do that on any in the harbor area. So.
And my understanding is it's coming down to enforcement because if it's not, and that's what we're all saying, that we need to enforce better and make sure we keep track of our VRs if we do bring them under our umbrella. But also things like that could easily, if we're not enforcing or keeping track, and hopefully people, as we are made aware that we can check into it, because we do now have code enforcement officers who could go look into that. But we are looking into contracting out with the company that would catch those and check online, and they would just, they would be made aware of those as they're looking. And so we keep track of those.
But to my knowledge, having read the code right now, to your point, Stephen, I don't see anything that states anything qualifying it based on zoning of it. It's just if it's more 31 nights or more, then it is exempt from the TOT, is my understanding of the code.
The city gives an overlying use permit, correct, for a property. So I'd be curious if say, a B&B in a vacation-zoned parcel had a use permit to operate as an apartment building. It just doesn't quite make sense from a city perspective, but interesting.
It almost needs to be rezoned.
Good questions. Any other further thoughts, board, on the TOT? The only thing that was rough in noting this, I love my RevPAR metrics. I love the numbers. And unfortunately here at Morro Bay, and I think attribute a lot also as well to the Highway 41 closure, was nasty. I know a lot of people lost quite a bit of reservations as well as a power outage, but we had a $9 decrease in RevPAR that month. The second worst decrease we saw around the county was in San Simeon, and they only dropped $1.89 in RevPAR. And I'm entirely with Maggie. It's a bit of a phenomenon. San Simeon did not drop more. Hearst Castle, though, was still promoting aggressively. So that may have offset some of their losses. And guests could cut over on 46. But to Morro Bay here, when you cut off 1 and 41, there's not a lot of ways in and out. But that's all behind us now, and it's sunny skies, both metaphorically and physically. No further comments from the board. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, we will receive and file the TOT report. Next item on the agenda, item 6, March 2017 Marketing Public Relations Update from our Deputy City Manager.
All right, thank you, Chairman Graves. Okay, so I'll go through this pretty quick. There's just year-over-year comparisons. MorroBay.org website unique visitors. Apparently, it's 30% better. Total Jackrabbit searches 77% increase from last year, and Jackrabbit referrals lodging 24% increase. I'm not going to go through all of them, so I'll jump to the CTR click-through rates. That's at 0.32%. Industry average is 0.10%. So looking good there. Basically, everything is looking good, and this is for March 2017. What we just looked at were the TOT numbers from February. So this, if anything, gives us a pulse that March is going to be a better month when the TOT rolls in. Facebook likes. Facebook is always popular. 13,000 likes since July 1st, so just kind of keeping track on that. Jumping down to our current campaign, Take a Deep Breath. This is going to expire at the end of the month. I don't know if your hotels has been passing these activity passports out. Any feedback on that? Any the guests liking it? I'm just curious because I like it, but I'm not a guest. So
we had to ask for more because it's been very popular.
Awesome.
It's one of the things we hand out right at check-in.
Awesome. That's great. So kind of the basically on Activity Passport, this was to target spring breakers, East, March, and April, and really people looking outside. There was partnerships with 9 activities such as surf shops, paddle boards, and just kayaks, just fun things you can do outside. So $130 offer in the package. So Jen Little's always happy when it goes over $100 because it's a better promotion. So that's what's going on, expiring at the end of this month. What is coming up, though, is something cool, campaign and development for midweek promotion, May and June 2017. Basically, this is promoting midweek travels. So for women and families with disposable income in target market areas such as Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside County, Ventura County. This is going to kick off mid-April to the hotels and social media, and then the Phase 2 launch will happen to the digital media on Adara, AdTaxi, and TripAdvisor first week of May. So that is that. And basically, that's the more pertinent information. Are we ready for press clips? It's Otter Mania, I'm telling you. That's what we're known for.
Who hasn't heard?
Yeah. So a lot of great Otter info. Seriously, I mean, we need to embrace this. I know our marketing embraces it, but they're kind of wild. You embrace it. Well, look at this picture right there. I mean, that's a Disney cartoon. If not, I mean, that just Otter smiling. I swear they photoshopped that smile in there. But people love this. I mean, my wife had a friend she's from upstate New York, rural town of 500 people, and a friend on Facebook shared a Morro Bay otter, and they don't even know we're out here in Morro Bay. So I mean, it was just it's crazy. So great marketing. One of the ideas that comes up. Have you seen that giraffe that's trending? The pregnant giraffe. And Toys R Us has their brand and logo. No. Wow, you're following, Maggie. Awesome. That's great. So the otter cam, right? I mean, we should think about the otter cam right there. Embrace our otters, or the rock cam that just stays on the rock. Rock never moves. Wouldn't be a fun one, but sky's the limit. Anyways, Lonely Planet Travel News, 16 million monthly visits. So I'm not going to go through all this, but just look at what's trending. I mean, this is Defying Man and Nature. The Sea Otters, Morro Bay, made a comeback. This is on LA Now, always great. Crazy high numbers of breeding otters draw crowds to Morro Bay. So this is on SF Gate. That's great, getting in the Bay Area. And then this is, Morro Bay should be your next trip. Sea Otters, Morro Bay. This is just us getting in KTLA. Always great to get in LA. Bakersfield and Valley, Morro Bay, Otters. So just really browsing through us being big deals. We're a big deal in the news. So there you go. Sea Otter Mania happened this past.
And just an
past
anecdotal
month.
thing, we had a customer call the other day who wanted to book, but she wanted us to guarantee that the otters were still there.
So
Let me run out and see.
being fresh to the area, are the otters, is it seasonal, or because every time I go, they're there? So is it typical? Are they always there, kind of out there by?
Aaron?
I mean,
In my experience, since 2008, they're year-round.
they're there, yeah.
Yeah.
That number?
Well, I mean, you can go out at nighttime and you can hear that scream always, is my opinion.
How's the scream? Can you?
When the mother leaves the baby and they go and feed, the baby floats and they can recognize their distinct voice and find them.
Yeah.
There's a great video of our harbor patrol returning a baby. It
Oh
was
my gosh,
fantastic.
we're almost at 1 million views on that.
You need to
on
put that
Facebook.
one on.
Yeah. The comments are mostly, "Oh, you threw the sea otter baby back. You should have gently placed her in the water." Like they're otters, they're animals. You just toss them. All right.
I wanted to make a comment on regarding social media. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had conversations with with Dave Buckingham, Mayor Irons, and Jennifer Little about our City of Morro Bay Twitter page, which I don't know who was controlling it last year or historically, but from November to February, out of 22 tweets, all 22 were negative about Morro Bay. They mentioned heavy floods, road closures, victim found, things like that. But why I bring this up is that in the last 3 weeks since those conversations, I'm not sure what happened, but the City of Morro Bay Twitter page is amazing in the last 3 weeks. It is night and day. And having that be one of the primary Google search results when you Google Morro Bay, that's an important thing to keep in mind. I know having emergency notifications to local citizens is an important thing, but that might not be the venue to do it. It might be better to be through email or some sort of auto text messaging system or answering machine, because I don't know how many people that live in Morro Bay are checking Twitter for emergency news. So I just want to give props to whoever has updated in the last 3 weeks with all these glorious photos, and now I would want to go to Morro Bay after looking at that Twitter page.
So are you talking, it's important to note that there's two Morro Bay pages. There's a City of Morro Bay, and I think you're mentioning the City of Morro Bay because our fire department, they were handling that.
I think that's what it was, but to an outside user, it doesn't matter. So all that matters is what the top search result is. And so I don't think there was any intent behind it. But
I just wanted to let you know, and typically, and that's why it's negative, to one person, but the fire, they were just trying to get the word out. So it's one of the things that our public engagement team started saying, hey, we'd love to put more stuff out there, because they're all about letting people know road closures, rain is coming in, so floods, and we know hotels don't share floods because people don't want to know it's flooding. So we started posting videos and pictures on there, and just things on more of the city page. But I know Jen and her team are on the tourism page. But like you said, people, they don't know what they're choosing sometimes. It's just Morro Bay. Mm-hmm. They don't know if it's the city or the travel. So what we've just started kind of the past 3 weeks is, I'm glad somebody noticed, mm-hmm. That we're trying to just up our game on the city side as well.
Yeah, it looks great, and it even opens up an opportunity to discuss with emergency services how best they want to get the word out, if it's not that, or at least have tourism trump that news in some way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So great job.
Excellent conversation, board. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to this, Ikani?
Nope. That's it.
Is there any public comment on our Deputy City Manager's presentation? Seeing no public comment, we will keep the momentum high onto agenda item number 7, which is consideration of an RFP for an event planner.
All right.
All right. Back to
So,
you, sir.
thank you, Chairman Graves. This was agendized and brought as there were discussions on the board. Jen Little has an aggressive plan to increase shoulder season and to enhance our events. And so one of the ideas was that she needs help with the events, and our events need help with their events. And there are some that maybe you have in mind that need help, and there's some events that I have in mind that are good on their own and they don't need help. But I think one of the things that come up is this was one of many approaches to enhance our shoulder seasons. Perhaps is looking at contracting out an event planner. And so I think one of the discussions was basically what this is saying is the recommendation is when events are granted funds, which will happen in a few months. There's about $60K allocated last year, and that amount may change or vary a bit. With that, Jen's hope was perhaps we have an event planner contracted to that. So you know how we did mental marketing, or there's this promotion budget that was added to the grant. So if somebody wins a grant of $3K and like the Kite Festival won a $1,500 grant in addition, and mental marketing would promote that to all over the state. The hope that she was thinking, and it's not really specified here, but I just wanted to bring it up so that you're not surprised. But one of the ways was, and then there's an additional event planner contracted amount to that. And so that's what this is. That's what this is all about, is basically looking for an RFP so that we can get some cost estimates on what an event planner would do. Now, I have my own personal thoughts. I mean, for me, contracting, I mean, there's a number at the end in the conclusion, that 4,000, 5,000. I don't like numbers that are not tight. This one just seems like it could be fluff because, and this is just stated from phone calls. So that's why we're trying to get RFP. But even if we get RFPs, it depends on how big the event is. Harbor Festival is going to be a different cost than Kite Festival, and a different cost than if somebody was helping with, the Bird Festival or a small event such as Dog Fest 2017. So So basically, the recommendation here is asking approval to just go for an RFP. Really, in my mind, we don't need approval from the board to go out and do a RFP process. But if anything, Jen just wanted to bring this forward, let you know that this is agendized, get this in front, because the other part of it is, well, why don't we just do a part-time? Why don't we just do a part-time event planner? Because to me, at least I know that cost. With a contracted event planner, the questions are which events are they going to be part of? All of them, because I know the MAG, AVO Festival, the Chamber has a great event planner ready for that. So I wouldn't want to, waste funds on that event. But going back into what this is basically RFP to go out, see, we're going to research some cost, get the best that we can, and then present that with you and keep this discussion going, hopefully have something before grant time.
Perfect. And from our previous board discussions, we all were in favor of at least understanding the cost there. Now with event planners, we can get rough estimates in a grid form of duration of the event, multiplied by scope, size of the event, will start giving us an idea if we want to plug that event planner into certain events or not. I think it would be far more efficient on our budget to have a professional in there who handles events all over a specific region to help out with some of these smaller events. Taylor, I saw your hand at the mic, or Maggie. Maggie? Ladies first.
Yeah, and mine's more just a question. So I'm good with going forward with the RFP, and if we were to move forward then with a contract event planner, would all of that money be coming out from the TBID, or would we, the cost of that, and maybe we discussed this, I apologize if we already went over this, but is the thinking that, let's say we go out, we find one, we decide to go down that path, then is that cost per event And I like Aaron's idea of having them be able to give us some, scope on, ballparks on what it would be and how they would calculate their charges. But then would that full cost be coming out of our budget? And would that, I know last year we went through the process of approving event by event.
Yeah.
What we would do when we stipulated the use of those funds in some cases, would that be in lieu of that, or would we still be giving additional money? Do we know that
But
yet?
in addition to the $60K that's allocated for the grant funds?
Yeah.
So my thought is it would have to be in addition to that, because we already have $60K, and that's mental marketing promotion as well in there. And so, but that could be a discussion. We could say, no, it's $60K and that's max. Something to note as well is that there are city contributions that are coming in as well. As I mentioned, the $130K projected. Anything can happen with that. That could be more marketing. That could be more promotions. The reason why I bring that up is part of that we could dedicate and say, this isn't just a fund of let's go find an event planner. This is, we're going to stay under $20K for this event planner throughout the year, and this is what we have to play with. So it doesn't have to be done now. If anything, I share it to think about as you're in your room and thinking about driving. Think through how we could pay for this event planner with our budget, if that's the route you want to go down.
And some of the discussion there as well was take an event where we used to give $4,000 to, perhaps we give them $2,500 and we apply $1,500 to an event planner that takes a lot of the load off of them. So we may be able to stay within the scope of our same $60K and just place it more efficiently, and their event will be perceived as more professional as well. Taylor?
Yeah, I had just brief comment. I like the way that I'm reading this as having it as a contractor situation by event. I would prefer that compared to having one event coordinator that we have for the entire year as our only contractor. I would like to have it be more open, because from my opinion, part of the problem with events is that everybody thinks that they're good at events and everybody has a comment on events, and the reality is that our events are a very tight equation, and the people who know how to do events are event coordinators. So really we should be asking them what to do, not us telling them what to do. And if they're an employee, a lot of times you tell your employee what to do. That's why I like contractors. To add to that, I would think that there should be a democratic opportunity for events to apply somehow equally to have access to this contractor situation. So I would hope that that's how we proceed, and I would imagine that would be up for discussion.
I just wanted to add that what the RFP actually looks like. Perhaps we create a small and large scenario, or small, medium, and large event scenarios, because it sounds more or less like we're price shopping in a good way, and hear what all the applicants come back with, so that we maybe, whether we're putting two people on some kind of loose retainer, or we just build a database of 3 to 5 specific event coordinators that we can then contract given the size of our specific event, because certainly different people have different specialties.
I think it's important to note that these events aren't ours. They're put on by others. And so I like the concept and being able to assist them, but we're going to have to take these groups that are asking us for money and give them probably a choice, because what if they don't like this person and don't like that? I worked with them, whatever. I'm just thinking out loud here that if we're going to be providing a service with a coordinator to these individual groups that are typically nonprofits going out into the community doing great events, I like the concept, but I think that we do need to give them a choice. Again, I'm not 100% sold on the idea of even getting an event planner to help out, because the individuals that put these events on, I understand they need help, and I know that we're giving them funds to do these events, but I still just a little rough on us really giving them an event planner. I don't agree with the full-time employee. And so I like the RFP, getting out and figuring it out. And the small, medium, and large idea is great. But we do need to be cognizant that these are individual organizations that are going to have to work with someone if we decide to help them with that. And they may or may not be workable. I think there, like you said, there are events that could pick and choose. There are events that stand on their own that we wouldn't need to bring in an event coordinator. There's a lot to think about with this, so I like the idea that we're going out and really doing our research up front.
Thank you all. Great spirited discussion. And let's get the RFP back and look at the numbers. Is there any public comment from the discussion? Seeing no public we're vacillating. All right. Morro Bay Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, Erica
CEO.
Crawford, CEO of Morro Bay Chamber of Commerce. Just piggybacking on what I wasn't planning on saying anything. I just like to observe what you guys are talking about. But with the event coordinator, I agree, and I'm wondering if there is a fund allocation that you guys are considering for event coordination for the events that you'll be granting funds to. I'm wondering if through the RFP process you're just building a roster and saying, we can allocate these many dollars for you to use for an event planner, but you must use one of these event planners, so that you're ensuring that a nonprofit is using a professional event planner to produce their event. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Seeing no further public comment, we'll move on. Excuse me. We are right on schedule. That's phenomenal. Last item on the agenda here, and correct me if I'm wrong, board, we moved around a little bit, but I think we've covered everything. Last item on the agenda is any declaration of future items we'd like to see discussed at some point that we can get on the agendas in the future. Does the board have anything they would like?
I do not have a future agenda item, but I would like to invite all to attend the Earth Day celebration at the Inn at Morro Bay on Saturday. It is a fundraiser for landislife.org, and we will be presenting the Pachamama Mother Earth painting by John Ramos, and he will be signing copies of those. Pete Kelly will be signing his Vagabond Diaries, and the proceeds will all go to the landislife.org. That's from noon to 4 at the Inn, and it's open to the public.
Nice plug, Charlie. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm not sure if this is the right venue to bring it up, but in the likely event that City Council comes back and asks us to define vacation rentals and what that looks like from a TBID perspective on the board, that might be something that needs to make a very soon agenda. But it's conditional or contingent on I guess what they say in response to our recommendation. But it seems like that is inevitable at some point. So rather than have that discussion through mediums or in formats that it shouldn't take place, if we just put it on the agenda and have a thoughtful discussion outside of the subcommittee that some of us weren't a part of, that might be a good thing.
So that's a future agenda item you'd like to see, is us defining those? Because I think we're making a recommendation to City Council. I think there's going to be quite a few questions that are going to come from this that we're going to need to define.
Yeah. So
what if we just put on there, we keep a slot vacant for following up with City Council on the recommendation, what they think of our recommendation, and keep the conversation going. So what if we just leave a blank?
That sounds good. It's just a follow-up discussion of
VRs and RVs.
Yeah. Sounds good.
It's a good recommendation, Sean. Thank you. Okay, we'll note that in there. Are there any further plugs, thoughts?
I got a plug, Chairman Graves. Earth Day as well. If you're not doing anything, there's a bike event happening. It's the kickoff bash for Amgen Tour happening May 16th. So this Saturday, be there, be square at Cloisters Park from about 2 to 5 p.m. We're going to have free food, free tour swag. Bring your bikes, bring your family. If you decorate it, you may get it. You may win a prize. There's going to be a bike rodeo from the PD, doing some fun things. Like I said, it's going to be fun. Did I mention that? It's going to be great. So about 2 to 5 p.m. Yeah, for everyone. So
great. And as big as you are, I do not want a bike rodeo against you. You will dominate out there.
Oh, okay.
I have no doubt.
All right.
All right. Seeing no further items, our goal is to always adjourn at 11 a.m. and it is 11:05. We'll consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you all.